Welcome everybody. Tom Matuska with the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company with our Thursday Live. And today we have a star-studded show. We do? Well, we're not really the stars, but we have stars. We have stars calling in. We have some pretty notoriety, a lot of notoriety out there listening to us, and people sharing their ideas and helping out other taxidermists. Last week we showed you how to set up the antlers on this mule deer. We set ears. A lot of you aren't familiar with building your ears and your ear butts onto the mannequin, and that's something that is pretty helpful when you're trying to get I always say I want to make the mannequin look like a deer without any hair. And if your mannequin looks good to you, add a little hair, it's going to look even better. And oh my gosh, look what we have here. We have special guests. This is the star-studded, I guess. Holy smokes. Wow. How many do we have? 5.
Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that the total?
Look at that.
There's 6. You gotta get
There was 11.
Okay, you guys, these are AKC registered. They're 8 weeks old this week. We have 2 female and 2 male chocolate ones. We have 1 male silver, 1 female silver. They have great hunting lines. The mom is a chocolate, the dad is a silver. For the silver ones, the male is $600, the female is $675, and otherwise they're $500.
Come from a great hunting line.
Good hunting line.
Located in Spirit Lake, Iowa, but this is our big sale for the day.
There was 11 and we're down to 6.
Puppies, puppies, puppies. So
Great Valentine's present coming up.
Are these on the 15% off sale?
That is the 15% off. I did knock them down.
Here, I'm going to give you that.
And then do you want to do some close-ups on these faces?
sure,
Here. Get some cute close-ups here. Oh, look at this one.
Everybody needs a puppy.
Oh, this one's just a love.
You know, I've seen people go on the street corner up by Walmart and sit out with a little box on the back of their car.
It's a little cold right now to do that.
12 below, you don't think you sell a puppy?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks you guys.
Ooh.
If you want a puppy, this is the place to get a puppy.
Puppies. Brent, you're watching.
So
Wayne has one picked out.
that was fun, thanks.
There go the stars.
Everybody, yeah, everybody needs a puppy. That's the stars of the show is right.
And look at this one.
Oh, this is what they grow up. Come here. This is what they grow up into. And that's Sadie. Okay, you go. We're busy here. Scram. Okay,
Then there
where
were
were we?
3.
We're derailed, distracted. All right, back to the mule deer. As mentioned, we set up our ears, we set up the antlers. It's real easy to work with symmetry and make sure things aren't twisted or misaligned or skewed in any way. And remember, if a lot of people, we mentioned last week, a lot of people don't have a bubble in their head. You know, we see it all the time. Excellent taxidermists that everything seems to be just a slight bit crooked. If that happens to be you, don't be afraid to use a laser level or use levels of some sort and make sure that you get everything straight. So did your husband call in and order a puppy?
No.
Says, are they in the giveaway this week, LOL? And then someone also said, do you sell replacement noses for those?
Lab replacement noses, no. Bad idea.
As long as they're warm and fuzzy.
I know. And let's see, this last week, though, we're not actually doing this in order. We really need to have done this in order. We should have roughed the form last week. We're going to show you how we would do that without knocking everything off. Brent attached the artificial nose by Brian Olson, and I think you just hot glued it on, did you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we used the extra strength hot glue. It seems to be. I don't think I could pull it off if I.
Careful. Don't pull so hard.
I don't think I could pull it off.
Some of the stuff doesn't work so good on camera as it does, you know. So I think we're kind of all set to proceed. When we rough a form, that would have been my first thing to do, and we got busy. Remember, if you have any questions, type them in and the girls will read them to us, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. And a lot of times, if we don't know the answer, somebody out there in the audience will be able to help us out. We use a lot of, Jacob, did you get a puppy?
No.
There's some left, I think.
I know. There's plenty.
We use the form rougher. Comes in 2 varieties to rough our forms. I've seen everything. I've seen people use sandpaper. Sure. I've seen them, oh man, we had a guy one time that sandblasted them. He took all his forms, he'd order 30 forms, you know, and set them out and sandblast them. I'm not sure that's a good thing to do with styrofoam, but there's a lot of different ways. I've seen people paint them with Elmer's glue. I've seen people paint them with shellac. There's a product called Mannequin Prep by Gary Bowen, where you spray them with Mannequin Prep, and it's basically a trim adhesive, and it leaves a sticky surface. You do it the day ahead of time. But for us here, we use these guys. This is a detail form rougher and the form rougher. Extra sharp pad, don't get yourself because it will cut.
Oh man.
And we spend a little bit of time, and like I said, I do it first so I didn't knock the nose or the ears or the antlers off, but spend a little time roughing and smoothing. Now you might have a seam line. If you have a seam line, make sure you get that off. And if you're going to have drumming, you're not going to have drumming over a convex surface. You're going to have it on a concave surface. So the drumming will take care of here. It can happen here. Sometimes happens under your eye swell, wrinkles, this type of thing. So that's where I concentrate my roughing. Doesn't matter to me what you do, how you do it. If you wanted to use coarse sandpaper, you could do that. Are you gonna let me show them the form perforator?
No, I was hoping you'd forgotten that. Those poor puppies would not handle it.
And you can get the whole thing. The trick is, or make sure that you don't take any detail. Any of these mannequins are pretty rich in detail. Yeah, go ahead.
Does the Mannequin Prep do anything to the form, or is it just more of an adhesive?
It's more of an adhesive, and I think it's very similar to trim adhesive that you can get at a auto parts store or Arnold's Motor Supply or something like that, Napa, and it's like a contact cement, and it comes out a little bit on the stringy side, a little webby, but you have to, and you don't want to spray it here because it's going to cover everything back there. When we used to use Mannequin Prep, we'd put a big piece of cardboard back and we would spray them, and you really want to wait till the next day till it really adheres to the form. But Mannequin Prep is a good product. I think it is some kind of a trim adhesive, and it gives a sticky surface that your high glue will stick to. Just make sure that when I'm not going to go across in this face because I like all this facial detail. Short-haired deer, all these blood vessels are going to show through, wrinkles, things like that. I don't take it out by going across, you know, we're a little bit careful. If you wanted to enhance anything, you can enhance it on here by deepening it. Be careful, everything that you do to this mannequin, depending on the length of the hair, you can over detail them too. So be a little careful. These are very, very rich in detail. They look beautiful, and we're just going to use what's there, and we would rough them up. And the idea is, I think, to do it before you just the mannequin, before you do the ears and everything else. So rough up your form. Another area that's kind of important is your brisket. Make sure that you get your briskets. You don't want drumming, and any of you experienced taxidermists for sure know that drumming is when the skin shrinks away from the valleys and you get an air gap underneath. And that can be for several reasons. Too thick a skin, not enough high pace, not a very good high pace.
The mold release.
Mold release. All of our forms are made with a mold release. Every company uses a mold release, and most of the time that's something that's sprayed inside of the mold, and there's probably still mold release residue on that. So it's not even a bad idea to take lacquer thinner or some kind of solvent on a rag and wipe them down. That helps get it off, as well as your form rougher. It's very important to rough them. Then, what do we want to do? Do we want to talk about eyes? Lip slot and eyes.
Got a lip slot.
Let's do the lip slot first so we don't knock the eyes out when we're doing that.
Sure.
Okay?
We can do that. You want me to do that?
Sure.
So there are several different ways to do lips. I think every taxidermist has tried a few different methods themselves. We use, and with great success, we use a tuck slot. So we use the skin, the excessive lip skin, which we've thinned.
Don't you sew it
We don't.
around the whole perimeter of the mouth?
I bet.
They used to do that,
have
right?
done that. They being
Other taxidermists.
other guys. But that would certainly be an option. You can see we thin this skin extremely thin, and then for added realism, rather than sewing it and having a soft line here, we actually tuck it into a slot that is anatomically in the same direction that the lip skin would be on the live mannequin or on the live deer. So we'll cut a slot here to accept that little bit of skin. Lots of ways to do that. We've got some cool tools to do it. I think everybody has their own little handy dandy lip cutting tool, lip cutting system. Everything from a scalpel to some of these new
We
tools.
got some cool
Tell me about these.
Zyme tools. Yeah, you have one there. This is a little bit like what is it? Our detail tool.
Yeah.
And only that's a heavy duty one. A little bit wider, a little bit stouter. Kind of the same format as this, only
Heavy duty.
Yeah.
Certainly heavy duty.
but those all work. Here's another one. It's got almost a knife blade, but it's not a sharp knife blade. It'd be very good for lips.
I like that.
These come in kits. Mandy can tell you more about them, but there's a whole variety of these with a soft rubber handle. I went down there, I got all excited when I saw them. I grabbed two just to show people what's available.
I think I need that one.
You,
That's brand new. We just got these. These
yeah,
are in the new
brand
catalog, new products in the new catalog, and I had not.
and they come in separate kits, and they're not very expensive.
Andy's holding out on it.
I know it. A saw, we call this a little lip slot saw, and it's a little XL tool.
Oh yeah.
And this works good. It's very thin, and you can cut a lip slot with that. Drill bits. We carry lip-sized drill bits, and these go by numbers. They don't even go by inches when they get this small, I think. But this little drill bit in the right hands can make an excellent lip slot. The trick is to correlate the width, the size of your lip slot, with how thin you thin that skin.
Absolutely.
If you're not a very good flesher and you have very thick lip skin, this isn't going to do it. This isn't going to do it. You're going to need a 1/4 inch bit for if you're not a very good flesher. The object is to thin that skin on that lip as thin as paper. Oh, you're laughing at that question. As thin as you can. I mean, paper thin, and a small lip slot, and a nice firm, not overly tight, but not something that's going to fall out, lip tuck.
Yeah. So with the replacement nose, a couple people have asked, what about cutting the lip slot? And that's something we're going to be very careful with. Obviously, we have two different materials. We have our foam, lightweight, soft foam, and then we have our harder urethane plastic that the nose is made out of. So you can see that we have, on the proper angle, we've got a strong 3/8 of an inch here in the front, which will accept a lip slot very nicely. I would say I would definitely cut the lip slot after you install the nose, not before, because you can cut this if you cut this too deep, you're gonna make this piece of foam very weak.
And your glue might run down into that crack too.
Yeah.
What will happen, that's Murphy's Law.
That guy, I tell you.
So why would you use an artificial nose on a deer? Isn't it just an added expense?
Well, if you tuned in, was it 2 sessions ago, we had John Henry, did I tell you about John Henry? John Henry was
Where's the guitar?
steel man. Man against machine. Brett and I had a contest, and I took a Competitor's Choice whitetail wall pedestal, and just my typical tools that I sculpt my nose, and Brett took Brian Olson's new mule deer nose, and the gun was fired and we started, and I think I had my nose sculpted and ready, one nostril anyway, in probably an hour, and it took you, I bet, 3 minutes.
Well, I had to heat up the glue gun.
You had to heat up the glue gun, and then it took 3
some time
minutes.
involved.
It's a huge time saver, and not only is it a time saver, but the symmetry is perfect.
Yeah, consistency of what you have here is very predictable. We know that the left side is going to match the right side. We have real nice transitions. So finished work. Ultimately, this is going to save you in carving your nose, and it's also going to save you in the finished work.
And the detail, I don't know if you can see it, but the detail in this nose, it goes clear to the back of this. So the depth of detail, are you seeing it out there?
I think it's
coming out of the ears. But the detail is tremendous. And also, look at that septum. I mean, the sun's not shining in there that bright, but you have a really nice fleshy colored septum when you look at the other side. And that's something I use, the plastic septum dropped in the whitetail, and that's something I try to show my customers. Look at the detail. I'll take a flashlight and look at your nostril. The object is, I'm hoping my customers will go back and tell their buddies, I bet your deer doesn't have this, come and look. And they look at that septum, the blood vessels in it and stuff. Brian's got, detail back to there. It's a work of art.
And don't forget that you can actually binge watch all of our previously recorded Facebook Lives on our YouTube channel.
People do that?
Yeah, oh yeah, they do.
Binge watch.
And that is Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, and you don't need a YouTube account to view those, so that's very nice.
Okay, go ahead and cut the lip slot for him, and we'll show him how you do that.
I'm going to cut it first with a scalpel. It's the smallest of all the tools, and then we can run through it a couple other ways. Our lip skin is extremely thin, and so a scalpel accompanied with a little bit of 220 sandpaper works pretty well. We can also go through afterward and cut it with the Dremel if you'd like.
And that's always kind of safe, the sandpaper thing, because you can very slowly widen it to what you need.
Yeah. And oftentimes we'll flip it over. It's easier for me if I just flip it over and have it pointed up in the air.
You want to do it? You can probably do it.
You think I can?
Sure. Ear might fall off, but
Your ear's gonna fall off.
Okay, you're loose. You're free, Willie.
There we go. This is the easiest way to get consistency with your lip slot. So important. I'm right-handed. I typically would start on the right side. I will start on the left side for you guys today. But important that we get the angle correct. And if you look at this, we're going to start on about a 45-degree angle. You'll find that in your reference material that the angle of this lip is typically around 45. I'm not going to get too technical with it. I bet the deer guys out there can tell me it's 38.6 or 42, and they're going to butcher us for this. But we're going to start on about a 45. We're going to work our way around, and you're going to go right against the impression made in the mannequin that shows the lip line. A common question that we get here with our students as we're teaching our game head taxidermy is, if you look very closely, these sagebrush mannequins are so closely detailed that there is an indication for the bottom lip right here. And so the question becomes, when we're cutting this lip slot, which side of that impression do we cut on? And we're going to leave that bottom lip attached to the chin so that the tuck groove, as we tuck our lip skin under the nose, follows anatomically the upper lip and upper palate. So we're going to increase our angle slightly as we come around the front. It's going to be a little more up and down. And all I'm trying to do is break through the foam at this point. And I'm just going to continue around. Now I'm back to my 45-degree angle. And I'm going to come around here and back to the back corner. Now, the next thing I would do is, I like this little tool, Mandy. These are cool.
Yeah,
I need one of
nice.
these. You've been holding out.
No.
I was down getting a paintbrush and I saw them there and I thought, oh my gosh,
The
those are
sets are, they've been selling off the shelf.
The next thing I would do is come into the back corner with a slightly larger tool. Right here, open that up to accommodate, because we have a tremendous amount of skin along this, would you call it a sphincter muscle?
probably
Around that corner. And so there is a lot of skin that has to tuck into that area. So we're going to open that up slightly, and then I'm going to come back with my flat tool. This is not a cutting tool, and I'm just going to separate that foam just a little bit.
It's kind of a nice width. It's like our kitchen knives and about the same sharpness. Not very.
You got a fancy new sharpener too. Brent was excited about that. Gonna have to bring all our kitchen knives for you to sharpen them.
And so once you come through like that, you can see I've just separated the foam. I haven't really removed any material, and that's kind of, if you have a good tight lip slot, what will happen is, by separating the foam, it can come back together and close and lock around your lip skin, versus actually removing much material, in which case you don't have anything to hold it in place and you're going to have to rely on your glue. So I'm going to come in here. I've got a doubled over piece of 220. Back down a little tight, so I'm going to go with one side. So, and we're just going to smooth it out. It's going to open up slightly.
Need that sanding stick.
And then come around the other way. There too.
Blake is wondering if that's his dad's form, and I believe that is.
I believe that is
That
Blake.
is
It's
Blake
a
boy.
Beautiful form.
By far our favorite mule deer out there. It's a joy to get to put these deer together when we have one.
Sagebrush mule deer are sculpted by Brian Olson, Mark Bonnering, Pat Wagner, and they're pretty darn popular. We literally sell them by the
Everyone
pallets,
that tries them loves them.
and great big boxes on those pallets.
Right.
They're
Jared.
extremely popular.
Jared wants to know what tool you got there.
Here, this is a secret.
So that is this guy right here.
Yeah, that's
So
that
it's
one right
this
there.
one right here. And that is number 030532. And it's $6.95.
There's serrated ones. There's all kinds of different ones. There's some.
Yeah, they're very nice. So we can do that. Another thing we could do at this point, if you wanted to, you could come back with the Dremel tool. Probably not for the camera, because I've had a little too much coffee today. That doesn't do very good. Make sure you have a good steady hand if you're
Now, with that angle that you cut in there, the people might have had trouble cutting lip slots. If you cut them too straight up and down like this, there's a good chance you're going to bust this out as you're tucking lips. If you cut them straight in like that, you're going to separate the top jaw from the bottom jaw when you tuck, and you're going to have a very visible lip line, and that 45, like you talked about, should tuck very, very nicely.
Yeah.
I can't wait to use some of these new tools for design tools for lip tucking.
Are you giving me permission to add more to the line for next year?
We haven't even used.
They got a lot.
These are nice. These are high-tech things. These are not
Seth Johnson says, in the future episode, will you be sure to show adding the cape with the ears and sewing? I think you skipped a good portion of that on the whitetail.
Oh, no, we're doing the whole thing.
Whole thing, so stay
We'll do
tuned,
it.
Seth,
And
we'll do it for you.
probably start next week, depends on what we get done here.
I think we're hoping to get ears in today, aren't we?
We better hurry.
Maybe. Yeah, so that's lip slot, and we've done some roughing. What's that?
Well, we can talk about eyes and tear ducts.
Oh, yes, yes.
As with a good mannequin like this and setting it up with those eyes and the nose and the antlers on it, we're gonna put eyes in it. You should be getting excited about the finished product. If you have a good cape to go on here, properly tanned, thinned really, really nice, I can already tell you what this is gonna look like and how good it's gonna look. It's gonna look fabulous. The next thing we want to do, I think we can cut tear ducts. Might as well do that now. You can do it now or later when you put the eyes in. This lacrimal crease is referred to, we call it the tear duct. The duct is actually a little bitty canal in there, so it's kind of miscalled a lot. This lobe of skin, when you skin this animal, actually the crease goes up and under this. You grab a tool here. If you cut that out, and we're going to tuck, mule deer have a great big lacrimal crease, big enough that you can hide your entire thumbnail in the trench. There's a big valley. And when you cape that animal, or wherever you cape it, it's important to pull that skin away and scrape the bone as you get that out, and then flesh that really, really, really thin. You want it as thin as you got the lips or thinner. As we cut this lacrimal crease, this where the skin's going to tuck, you won't want to carve it straight in because it's going to leave a big crack, and in real life, that skin wraps around this lobe. To do that, I'm going to use this little detail tool, and something that I think Mark Conring even showed me one time was to use one of these sharp ones to cut the crease and actually make a dull one. Take the tip off of it and dull it for tucking the skin, and it worked really good. But now that tucked skin actually starts about a 1/4 inch in front of the eye and goes down to where they have it sculpted here. So I'm not going to go all the way up to the eye, I'm going to stop short about right in here. Without the skin on, I can't tell you where, but if I have the slot there, I can tuck it if I need to.
I got a couple questions here. First, Brian and Dave both are wondering, the whitetail replica nose available, when will you have the whitetail nose? Do you have anything to tell people about that?
It's a secret.
We're working on it. We're working very hard.
What would you say, a couple weeks?
Less than that.
Less than a couple weeks?
I would say we have to make sure that we have a bin full of them before we open the floodgates.
Yes.
Our little nose maker is petrified of a whitetail nose because of the demand we've had for it, and he wants to be stocked up. Now you notice because of the curve of this tool, I'm able to stick it in straight, but I'm wrapping it. It's going way up underneath here, and it's going to allow me to tuck that skin way up under here. Now here again, you don't want to, I'm making it a little bit too big by going over and over it. You don't want to make it too deep or too wide. You want I want hair to hair to come to. Something about the tear ducts on mule deer, they can be very big and they can be very open. And I've seen live deer close up, and that's a art piece in there. And if people, taxidermists that can want to recreate that, go for it, because it takes a lot of reference and a lot of hard work to recreate an open tear duct. It's difficult.
And you have to correlate it to a specific attitude too. I don't know that you'd want to do that just
right
for any customer.
Rich Miller says, I notice you smooth down the lip notch, but do you round out the lip on the front of the nose when I cut my lip line and tuck the line between the nose and upper lip, looks too sharp. I've been rounding this off. Is that the right thing to do on a mule deer? I've never mounted one, so I thought I would ask.
I'm thinking if I understand, so it doesn't look like a cut.
Yeah.
Taking the corners off of the cut, I might not understand the question, but I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah, and we would do that with both the sandpaper, and we're gonna apply a very small amount of clay, so that front pad of the nose and lip line that can actually be tucked and shaped in the fashion that we want to, according to our reference.
And then Seth was also asking, will you need to add clay around the nose seams to smooth the transition?
Yes, we'll add a clay or an epoxy. The transition area is extremely smooth. We've spent a lot of time to make sure that transition is nice, but just through manufacturing processes and as things contract and expand, there's going to be a
line there.
To guard against that, you'll definitely want to blend that transition.
Don't be afraid to run a little sandpaper around there. Your glue's gonna help. If there is a crack, your clay would help.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about eyes. When we set eyes, I have a whole assortment of eyes here, and you'll have your favorite eyes. These are just aspheric, and this is a dark eye. Typically, the mule deer eyes oftentimes run a little bit on the darker side. This is a aspheric eye. You don't need to use a white-based eye. You don't need to use a defined cornea. There are so many eyes out there. I sell eyes, and it's confusing. There's a lot of different eyes. An eye that works really good for one taxidermist might not work good for another taxidermist. One person might make them look really, really lifelike, and the next person might take the same eye and they look like frogs. But this is an aspheric eye. Typically, it's all one color, all dark brown. It's got a iris in it, painted, and things like that, and the pupil in there, very dark. We lots of times use what's called a pre-rotated eye. This is a pre-rotated eye. I believe this is a pair with a scleral band. The scleral band is the white on the eye. Now this one even has blood vessels in it. I was at a seminar one time, and the judge said, "You will never see the white of an eye, on a white-tailed deer." And a deer just standing there, you don't see very much white. And when we started raising deer, you hold up a cookie or you startle them or something like that, you're going to see a little bit of white. And I'm going to say taxidermists overuse the white quite a bit. You don't need it. It's a nice little added touch. It's a sales pitch, but you can get by fine without it on a real natural deer. And people who use it properly can make a pretty nice looking deer too. We have new eyes. You want to tell them about your new mule deer eyes?
Yeah.
Look at these babies.
Those
These are
pair mule deer eyes, and you have defined cornea, and you have one without blood vessels and one with blood vessels. And we carry two sizes, 32 and 34 millimeter.
This is a work of art. People have been asking for these for a long time. It's kind of interesting when the big orders of the Sagebrush series mule deer go out. There's always a big bag of noses and a big bag of pair eyes. It's kind of fun to see. This is another eye. I'm going to show you the difference here and where taxidermists can get a little confused. These are all 32 millimeter eyes, but look at the height profile between the aspheric, which is pretty low compared to the pre-rotated, compared to the new mule deer, compared to, look at that one. Look at how high that is. Now, I guarantee you, if I use that, I might end up looking like a frog. It's very high profile.
Where you can see the difference in height, there's a significant difference. Those three. you think
Oh,
we
gosh.
have in just a 32 millimeter deer?
A lot.
A lot.
And 32, you mentioned 32, that's kind of our go-to size for whitetail and mule deer. Some people might, prefer a certain size sagebrush as well as any of our whitetail mannequins, the XPs and the competitor's choice. The eye orbit and the plate is at about 32 millimeters. And you want to make sure that the eye that you're using, typically these are sculpted so that the eye will rest against that back plate.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, and it can because of our molding process, this can get rounded in here because the people have to take these out of the mold. If that gets rounded, it might be possible or might be necessary to just get that corner a little bit opened up so that your eye does lay flat to the back.
John was mentioning earlier that antelope dark brown or dark brown whitetail eyes work for antelope as well, which is what we use to cross over.
Sure.
Yep.
I'm going to put this eye in with a little bit of clay, and I don't want it to fall out on the floor. So what works pretty well? Do you want me?
We have a question.
Sure.
Tom Daughter wants to know if you are going to cover removing the earbuds.
Yes, we are. And the reason I'm not doing it yet is we got the nose on, we got the antlers. He's starting to look a little deery. You modeled on those ears. I'm getting excited. When we put these eyes on, I'm going to do handstands. I'm going to be so excited to mount that deer just because he's going to look really mule deer.
And that's why you put the ears on before?
Yeah, well, yes. And another, I guess we learned it from the competitor's choice taxidermists at the shows. They would demonstrate this method, putting ears on like this. If you weren't with us last week, they put the ears on and then they coat them with a hide paste. Latex caulk works good. Any of the hide paste work good. Dermagrip Pro 1, and that kind of puts a plastic film over it, so that when this will come off, you can take it off, and that clay stays on. Your earbud is going to be exactly as it is now, except it's going to still be somewhat flexible. That when we mount this deer, we'll be able to move those ears just a little bit. We'll be able to turn them just a little bit, because that clay will stay soft in there, but it is covered with that dried hide glue. Anyway, they would show people how to do it, and then I remember Brian lots of times saying, here, you do it, or Mark Goddard would say, here, you do it, and they take the earbud off and give somebody a ear to do, and then with those really nice casts, Mark made these with those really nice casts, it shows you the muscles. And you showed them last week how in the Taxidermy DVD, Taxidermy University, how Clint Rickey took clay on there and carved that out and modeled it right on there, right?
Yep.
Peeled it off and stuck it on here.
Yeah,
That's kind of ingenious.
You're getting a length and a width. I can't tell you whose idea that is. It seems like all of these ideas get shared over and over again, but
You do have Doug and Kathy Grookey say hi, they're watching.
Hi, Doug and Kathy. Oh, you need to be doing something more important.
Hi, Doug and Kathy.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to just put some, doesn't matter what you do this with, I'm just going to put some indentations in here, which is going to help my clay stick so my eyes don't fall out before I get him mounted.
Has that clay been there since last week?
Yes, and it's still soft. I can dent it with
Did
my
you have
finger.
anything over it wet?
No, you know what I did though? I cheated a little bit. I took the ear off that Brett modeled on there, and I put it in a plastic bag, put it in the fridge. And it laid just like this in the fridge. And then Jacob or you did the other one today?
Yeah.
Okay, I just do something like that with the eye. And we always used to use just water-based clay, any kind of water-based pottery clay. We have switched over the years to Critter Clay. Critter Clay is a very good product. And I am going to fill the concave part of this eye with clay. Now, when you do this, don't make a big old mound of clay because it's going to push your eye too far away from the styrofoam. I'm going to push this into place, keeping an eye on my pupil. Let me see if you can see that pupil with the flashlight.
Keeping an eye on the pupil.
Keep an eye on the pupil.
Uh-huh.
That's what teachers do. Okay, see like that? You can see the pupil in there. And that typically, ooh, that's a good
What flashlight
color.
are you using right now?
I don't know, but that pupil color is great. This flashlight I got from somebody in marketing. Oops, I'm sorry. Marketing downstairs. This is the best flashlight. I got it out the other day and it's dead on a doornail. And I thought, I gotta put in batteries. So I took it all apart. I had pieces all over the place. And then I found there's a port in the Storm where you plug that in to your computer. And I mean, it was no time. This thing was charged up again. It's great. I don't know.
Runs for 3.5 hours and then you plug it in. But you have the highlight. That's our micro stream pen
This is great.
for $34.95.
It's the best flashlight ever.
And it clips to your hat. You can have it clipped to your hat. We heard someone told us to look into it and we got it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Now I'm gonna do something here and then I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna raise him. I'm pushing him in so he doesn't fall out into the depressions. I'm gonna raise him slightly. Anytime you do eyes, lips, nose, get it at eye level.
Get it? Eye level.
A lot of fun stuff.
We get people all the time that, especially students, they'll be bent over, you know, way bent over, working on their eyes. Get it eye level.
I never would have thought of that.
Okay, now you can take a level, but you basically want that pupil level with the floor. Deer will do different things, and that's a whole nother discussion. If it's a voluntary action, an arrow whizzing past his head or a acorn going past his nose, he may move his head too fast for his pupil to right itself. But in a voluntary action, that pupil stays very level with the floor. Okay, that's how I start. Now, I'm going to take some clay. Do you have that little, your book? How about your iBook?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to take a small piece of clay and I'm going to taper it. I always refer to it in cigarette thicknesses, though I don't smoke, or rat tails and things like that. I'm going to make it very pointy at the very end. And I'm going to push it into place right in front of the tear duct and wrap it around like this in as smooth of a curvature as I can get. And then I'm going to do the same. Here's kind of what we're doing. I started out with a little flat, if you can look at that one, a little flat area up there. And then made the belly of the eye. We were at a show a while back and somebody was giving a seminar saying the bottom lid is always tight to the eye. And our live deer, as well as most of these pictures, kind of like old people. I always say deer are like grandma. The older they get, their eye skin sags.
Hey, why are you picking on grandma?
Dogs. Look at your dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, picking on dogs. All right, I'm going to do another little piece here.
I bet those young puppies didn't have
I
saggy
know.
eyes.
If you tuned in late and missed it, go back and rewatch at the beginning. But we had 6 beautiful chocolate puppies, 8 weeks old, that are for sale. And on sale, today only.
15% off.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take a little heavier piece of clay, and we have what we call a 3-cornered eye set. And I'm going to put this right in the front corner. My first corner is going to be right where the lacquerable crease comes in. I'm going to go up slightly I'm gonna make a bend, that's gonna be my number 2 corner. And I'm gonna bring it around. Now, depending on the attitude, this top arc can be dipped in, it can be level, and it can be domed a little bit. So we're gonna go for a little bit of domed look. Now I'm gonna feather this onto the mannequin. Less clay is best. Less is best. The sculptors of these mannequins did a beautiful job on the brow, on the muscle underneath. Don't overbuild. I always say if you're adding a whole bunch of clay, you're telling me you know more than Pat Wagner and Brian Olson or Mark Goddard. Okay, now, I like to shape it with a brush. And I'm going to use,
You got Todd Pear watching.
pardon me? Oh, Todd Pear? Is he watching his beautiful eyes?
Beautiful eyes.
I like to use these brushes. This is a filbert, and this is an angular shader. And you can get a really nice soft eye set with these. And here's my number 1 corner. It goes kind of straight up to number 2. Sure. Nice smooth eye set all the way to number 3. Number 3 corner back here is typically higher than my number 1 corner. If you look at any reference pictures, the live deer, most often the top lid shades the pupil. Look at any animal, any animal that you can see the pupil in it, bobcats, coyotes, deer, the top lid most often crowds the pupil. The pupil is much closer to the top lid. I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to smooth this down. I don't use a lot of water, especially when I first start setting my eye, because it turns my eye to mud. I get clay all over my mud. Now, this plate in the back of the eye, or that the eye is against in the foam, for years and years and years, it's been acknowledged as 45 degrees. I think the guys will tell you it's a little different than that, but for practical purposes, I don't know if you can tell 45 from 44 from 46, but what that tells me on any animal that you're doing, if it's an animal that's a predator, their eye focus is much straighter ahead. A little bit more like headlights, not quite, but more like headlights. An animal that is a prey animal, like a rabbit, his eyes are way out to the side. A deer, which doesn't eat a lot of rabbits, but he does have to worry about the mountain lion sneaking up on the back of him. He has tremendous peripheral vision, and he can see way back here, hence the 45 degrees. He has great front vision as well as peripheral vision where he can see behind him. Okay, now, I try not to build up any clay buildup in the front of the eye, and I'm going to have to walk around in front of him to see what I've got going here. I would like this line a little straighter up and down. And I have a big old bulge here. We can get rid of some of that, I think. Oh, the new tool. Here's what we do at the shop, a 3-corner eye set. Here's your number 1, right where your lacrimal crease starts. You go up to number 2, which is kind of a straight up and down. The more relaxed a deer is, the more slope that line is. Here's a slight dome over to number 3, which is slightly higher than number 1, with a nice belly in the eye. And we used to, when we had our live deer, we had a deer that was afraid of dump trucks because it got injured one time because a truck scared it, and you could see its eye get extremely round, and you wouldn't hear the truck for a long time, and then all of a sudden you'd hear a truck coming down the road, and the poor deer was petrified of that sound of dump trucks, and his eye would get nearly round. And then, of course, we got drowsy looking deer too. Okay, now make sure that he has great frontal vision between here and here. No big buildup of clay right here. Nice and smooth. Now we're gonna put when we put our skin on here, we're gonna disturb a lot of this. But if you do a nice job of your eye set now, your tucking of the clay or the tucking of the skin in your clay will go a lot nicer.
So you're using a brush to shape your eye along with your tools. Why the brush?
I think I think it's nice and soft and non-tooled. You get not a tooled look.
Also protects the eye a little bit probably from scratching it.
Yes, and do be careful with the glass eyes. The glass eyes are more durable, but some people use the acrylic eyes, and you can scratch. You can even scratch the glass too, but be a little careful.
And what's your go-to? Say you scratch an acrylic or a glass eye. What's your go-to to fix that?
I'm gonna say triple thick.
Yeah, we've had good success with the acrylic eye and triple thick. I've also heard of people actually buffing out the glass eyes, having some success buffing the scratches out of glass eyes.
I think we have a video of repairing mine too.
We do. I think we had a scratch on a gray box or crossbox eye several months ago, and fixed that on video, a little short clip.
Okay, now one more thing I want to add to this is when the eye opens up, there's extra skin that has to go somewhere, just like people have. You see this little crease above the eye, and you can do that with a separate piece of clay, or you can, usually what I will do is I'll carve it in with a tool, and then when I mount the deer, you will see a line on the skin that you can scribe that in and make it look pretty natural. And it doesn't go all the way down to the tear duct. And you can put this in now, or you can scribe it in later.
See, somebody just listened to you and went and purchased the mule deer ear eyes.
How about a puppy?
Not yet.
Now, a lot of you want to do a real wide open eye. Nothing wrong with a wide open eye. Deer do it all the time. Be careful in opening them from the top up. you can make them look extremely startled and extremely, not necessarily lifelike by opening them from the top up. If we want to open eye, a nice alert eye, we'll sag down that bottom lid eye roll in a little bit. Okay. Okay, something like that, I think, and I can get by till I do it's pretty rough. None of this stuff goes quite good in live, it doesn't. And then we do it on the other side. Okay, now, do we want to take ears off and show them that?
I think we're running out of time.
Yeah, well, let's show them how to take them off anyway.
Sure.
If you're, now here this one's pinned on, which tells me that that one might fall off anyway. If your ears, you put hide paste all over here, so you probably got it up on the mannequin, down on the side of the face. We take a knife sometimes, cut that hide paste, and then work it up under here, and this should come off like this. We have a little bit of that hide paste you can tear off. Now there's your ear butt, and it's going to index exactly back on there when you put it into the skin.
What hide paste were you using?
Pro One, I think you used on this.
Yeah, we did. Yep, we used the Pro One.
And speaking of Pro One, Aaron Wolf called one time and we were talking, and he wanted us to carry the chemicals, and the chemicals are new to us. However, I listened and we got to talk you into it, and we got them. Paul was pushing it too, but we actually have, it's not in the catalog, it should be online and ready to go for you, but we do have Pro One chemicals now. So quart and gallon of the brush on tanning oil, the degreaser, the liquid safe acid, the max tan, and the max oil. So we have all that available and in-house ready to go along with the Pro One.
Tell them about our ears too. Those are very nice mule deer ears.
These are molded from the live deer. Brian molded these ears, brought these cats over to us, and they're done in a very similar fashion to our GZ series of ears, but these ears include the lower portion of the ear all the way to the point of connection at your mannequin or to the skull. So yeah, super excited for these ears. They fit very nicely, very typical of a mule deer. We use these 200 MDs on, I think, every mule deer we had. This is the deer that we haven't used them on.
And we have elk also.
Yeah,
And I think whitetail too.
Yeah. So pretty cool mule deer system.
Seth is wondering, so went into the hide, skin, and mounting, how will you ensure the ear stays up and attached once reapplied?
So we will apply a liberal coat of our Pro One hide paste. We'll glue our ear in first. It will be glued into our skin, and then we'll put a nice little coating of hide paste on the bottom side of the ear. We'll put it against the mannequin, put it in place.
You have to rough it up?
And then we've already wrapped around the mannequin, and the clay will adhere. The Pro One will stick to the clay very nicely. And then the nice part about this type of an ear is an upholstery pin pokes through it very nicely versus some of the other ear offerings out there. So we can easily pin this in place. We'll put them down into the ear canal. It'll go into that carved out area that we've got, and it holds them real nice.
And is Pro One hide paste the best hide paste to use?
Pro One works very good.
It does.
Durham Grip is another good product that we used for years until we got Pro One, and
yeah,
they stick.
absolutely. I think
Pro One's great.
everybody has a little bit different system, and I think different systems require different lengths of time. If you wanted a longer set time, there are other hide pastes out there. So yeah, just tailor that to your system.
You have a question at the very bottom, right?
I have a question.
I can.
It's a whitetail mannequin. available from Brian Olson? They are. They have a really nice. The whitetail nose is the prototype is done. We have a.
It's out for approval right
Yeah,
now.
it is. We've got a lot of guys, and we're pretty privileged here with Matuskas to work with some really exceptional guys, sculptors, and we have this one was sculpted from a deer that we shot locally here and sent it off to the guys. Everybody's had a chance to weigh in on it, and we're just waiting for the final approval, final thumbs up, and yeah, we should have it. We've got 2 molds made. We have another one cooking today, so hopefully
I told somebody you had 200 hours, and I bet I'm about 200 hours light in. The way these are made, and the way Brian made this was a mold of a fresh mule deer, as yours was a fresh whitetail. It's made, and then once the mold is made out of silicone rubber, then a prototype's made, and then that prototype has to be modeled for symmetry, checked for symmetry.
Yeah, there it is. That's the whitetail.
That's a whitetail nose.
And it is being looked at now. I think there's a couple couple people that have yet to weigh in on it. We're just waiting for a couple more opinions. The nice thing is we like to mount on everything that we turn out before we give it to you guys, so we can work out as many bugs as we possibly can. And I think we're at a really good spot.
And another thing, you made a great point last week, is the cost of this nose. What are they? $16?
$16.95.
Added to the cost of the mule deer is less than a lot of competitors' mule deer only form.
With the traditional, yeah, the traditional foam form.
So you can get the whole works with a perfect nose for less money than you can a lot of mule deer forms on the market.
And that's what we're driving toward too with the whitetail series. We're working on a head that will accommodate the nose itself, so we can offer it just like mule deer. Get 2 different offerings.
Okay, so next week, we didn't get as, well, we got about as far as I thought we'd probably get. Next week, we'll have the other eye done. We're going to take the antlers off. We will glue in the ears for you. And to glue in the ears, we're going to use probably Pro 1, I think, to glue in the ears. And show you how that's done. We've used a lot of different adhesives in the past. We've used epoxies, we've used different carpet cements, with wallpaper paste, all kinds of different things. But Pro 1 is our kind of our go-to now for gluing that in. And I think we'll probably start mounting this, tucking the nose, which we expect to go better than ever. Tucking the lips, tear ducts. And wait a minute, let's show, we showed you last week our sewing machine, right?
We did. Introduce the handy dandy sewing machine.
Jacob, come here. This is our in-house sewing machine. And look at these stitches. He sewed this up for us so we don't have to. And this looks like a machine. That's a lot of sewing. Good thing this wasn't a draft, but that's a long ways. He made this into a tube cut for us.
Yep.
So all we're going to have to do when we mount this, we're going to take the horns off and we're going to slide that skin on, and we're going to have a very short. Good job.
Derek Wink says the mule deer noses are amazing. Can't wait for the whitetail.
Oh man.
Hey,
Derek.
where's this gun?
gun?
Where's my gun? We all bought gun calendars, and I haven't got a gun yet.
Me either.
I heard that I might be getting one. Okay, not me, but Brent.
Okay, what do you got for
So,
giveaways?
what are you giving away?
So we are giving away the mule deer replacement nose.
You should do the whitetail one. No, the mule deer replacement nose. That's a good one.
And our winner, if you are present, please chime in, Josh Gordon. So we will give you a little bit, and
You're gonna like it, Josh.
Josh Gordon. chime in. Don't forget to like and share this video for a chance to win next week. Maybe you do an early out of the whitetail nose next week. Ooh. But tune in, so make sure you like and share the video for that. Remember, we have Pro 1 chemicals available now along with the paste. They're online and ready, and everyone knows if you call in. We did have, Marcel was asking, do we have any course videos? We don't have course videos, but you can go to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page and watch all of our old videos. Along with, we teach a 9-week residential course. We have 9 students right now. This is Northwest Iowa School of Taxidermy, and then you guys are also doing a 2-week game ahead course, and that's April 13th through April 24th. So that's, if you're interested in that, hit us up.
In a few weeks, we'll probably spend one of our segments just looking at student work. These students are looking pretty promising, and they're flushing right now, which is kind of a big job for them because they think they're about done, and we tell them thinner. And so they've been flushing all week long, skinning and flushing, tanning. We teach them how to tan, and we've got 9 pretty promising prospects here, but well, maybe not.
7.5, maybe.
But we will show you some of their works because they're going to be pretty proud of a lot of the things they do. And we have some people that aren't used to our weather. Like I said, it was 12 below today, and our little Australian student, that's a little colder than Northeast.
We have
Louisiana, we have Texas, and
Virginia.
12 below is a little more than they bargained for.
And then you have the Minnesota guy that wears a t-shirt all the time.
Yeah.
All right, Catherine King, you're the next winner. Josh isn't chiming in. So Catherine King, if you're watching, let us know. Otherwise, we will go to a live giveaway for that mule deer nose.
And you guys don't forget, as soon as you get your catalog, to submit a creative selfie or picture. We've got some really awesome ones over here. If you have not received one yet, make sure to send us your mailing address.
If you haven't already. So we're doing a bulk mailing. We're supposed to get a snowstorm tomorrow. So if we're here, we're doing it tomorrow. Otherwise, we're doing it first of next week. So those that haven't received a catalog but have requested it, you should be getting them in the next week. If you haven't requested it and don't have one, let us know and we will get those sent out to you. Frankie Folsom, are you watching? If you're watching, chime in. You get the mule deer nose. John says, come teach in Pennsylvania. We are coming to the Pennsylvania show
You and I
this
are.
year. Yes. So come check us out there, John. We're going.
They asked for a course video too. We do have the Taxidermy University videos.
That's true. We do have a full line. And, yep, for the whitetail.
We've got whitetail, we've got turkeys with blade. We've got Ricky Crane's fish instructional videos.
Yes.
So there are some videos out there too for them.
Absolutely.
I never had that when I was learning. I had Northwestern School of Taxidermy out of Omaha.
had the hieroglyphics on the cave.
We did.
Chiseled out of the cave walls.
All right, we're going to a live viewer. So
Oh man.
start guessing your numbers for your chance to win the mule deer replacement nose. And tell me again why they're guessing numbers. And it's gonna be the first one that we see, and you guys gotta remember we're actually ahead of what comes through.
And it's 1 through 20.
1 through 20. Tell me with the mule deer replacement nose, give me a recap of what you did with it to put it on.
You tell them you did it. I never used one of these before in my life.
It was very, very simple. The cutout is already provided when they're ordered together. If it's not, you would use your favorite mule deer mannequin, and you can cut this off, set it up here, make a template, cut the space. In this case, because the back of the form was molded, we roughed it up just a little bit with the stop rougher.
We do have our winner already.
And then we wipe off the back of the nose with lacquer thinner just to make sure adhesion. Put some extra strength hot glue on the back and put it in place.
Just hot glue?
Yep.
And you could use Bondo, you could use anything. Hot glue works good, and like you said, it's on for good. It's not coming off.
Yeah, it's not. I hung on it pretty good.
Hang your deer in the sun, it's not gonna melt.
Larry Lampert, you are the winner, so congratulations. The girls will be in contact with you to let you know how to.
You're gonna like it. This is an excellent product. We're very proud of that.
And don't forget to send us your selfies for your chance to win. We're giving away $100 Matuska bucks and then also a $25 one as well. So we're doing a couple different ones.
You don't get to do it.
I think it's already in it.
I think absolutely. So send those in. We're going to be drawing that
I
around February
bet if
1st.
somebody took a picture with the catalog and one of those new puppies, they'd be in the running.
Oh,
I'm sure.
There is a good looking white lab up there that looks like my pooch. But let us know, give us a call if you have any questions, or need help with something, 1-800-488-3256, or visit us online at www.matuskataxidermy.com. Mule Deer continue part 3 next week.
Yeah, we're gonna do ears and probably slide the hide on, put the horns back on, glue him, sew him up.
So next week, Thursday, live till 5.
And we'll even take this all the way, I think, to the finishing. We've been doing a lot of Createx is new to us, and it's a tremendous product, and we're going to show you a little bit about game head finishing with Createx.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks
everybody.
for watching.